come from the opposition side.
You and Michelle David have a lot of experience in the role of chief of staff. What are you thinking about right now?
Well, I'm wondering to what extent Katie will try to reset the narrative to some degree, perhaps in her opening statement. She does have a chance to sort of frame things a bit. So I'll be looking to see to what extent she says, look, this is how this process works. This is what I am able to say. This is what I'm not able to say, and try to justify that and frame it the right way. Because otherwise it's always, we're going to have 2 hours of what did you know? I'm sorry, I can't speak to that. What did you know when? I'm sorry, I can't speak to that. And that's not going to work for anybody. So let's see how she frames that at the outset. And that becomes that sort of background talking point and anchor that she will use later on. But we do have some new information. We had, we're hearing about a meeting briefing that took place September, 2022, new one February 2023. They're going to use those dates, the opposition, to say, what was new then? What was, try to at least get a sense of the top of the issues, if not the specifics. So we may get a bit more detail as the opposition tries to fill out its timetable on the narrative of what did the Prime Minister know and when did he know it, versus ultimately what's going to have to come out of, I presume, an independent public inquiry.
And speaking to Katie Telford right now, that's Bardish Chagger. She's the chair of the committee, a Liberal member of Parliament. Joyce, your expectations as you see, I think as you see this unfold, rather, David's point is a good one about the opening statement and the ability to kind of reframe the issue. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, she'll be able to reframe the issue, but I don't think the opposition will go for that. The opposition probably, as Michelle said, has already written the communique that will be issued after this. They already have their questions. And, they're going to go for the jugular. That's what they want, and that's what they're going to do. I'm not expecting the tone to be very civil.
Is it though, Michelle, not just, the opposition certainly, I think everyone has laid out, is coming into this with a point of view. There's also an opportunity here to talk to people who are watching, right? Which lots of people testifying in previous committees have been able to do as well, like to talk to Canadians really who are watching. Is there an opportunity there today for Ms. Telford?
Absolutely, and I think David said was right that the opening statement is the first opportunity, probably the best uninterrupted opportunity, because it is a behind-the-scenes peek at just how kind of government operates and who comes and briefs who, and how often those things might have, if they were regular occurrences or not. So I think there's a learning opportunity from a process, but for anyone tuning in who's looking for exact answers, they're just not going to come.
I'm wondering also, David, we've talked a lot about what the opposition has to gain or lose, or to win or lose. What about Ms. Telford and the government? Because they have, been criticized at times during their response to, quite harshly, to the response to this, which was first, how could you ask questions about this issue? You're threatening the integrity of our democratic institution. To, hey, you know what, these questions are valid, we're going to appoint a special rapporteur. What do you expect the tone for Ms. Telford to be?
There's no saying in politics, if you're explaining, you're losing. And so I think she will try to find a way to put the narrative back in a more positive way. Where the Prime Minister has been very deliberate in this last while, and we saw it in your clip. We have spoken about this. It was an issue. It remains an issue. So you have that kind of recognition and transparency on the one hand, and yet you have these sort of sporadic events and these things sort of popping up that seem to give, a bit of a lie, if you will, to it, or raise questions about that. So they're going to have to try to reconcile that whole dynamic of, yes, this was important. Yes, we knew about it. Now, what did you do about it? And did you do something about it as a government? Or was this, from a broader Canadian's perspective, the security of the country, or is this really a Liberal Party kind of dynamic? Because you now have an MP and other kinds of things. So it was interesting to me that they were referring to Katie Telford as a top campaign official and not just the chief of staff. So they're trying to get the Liberal Party part into this dynamic a bit, and then that then becomes raw politics. You put party before country, and that's a very hard thing to unwind, if that is in fact a narrative that sits in.
And I think the chair of the committee, I'm not sure if she's actually, I think things are getting underway right now. I'm just going to listen for a second. We'll take a listen in live.
We've been looking forward to, and I know it's really important to all of us, and therefore I will ask that we ask a question or make a comment, and we provide time for an answer. And I will also let you know that the health of interpreters and the people who do their important work on Parliament Hill is paramount for me. Because it's the way we advance a country with 2 official languages, and that's something I think most of us wholeheartedly believe in. So that is my signal to you once again that I would expect only one person is speaking at a time, and that we maintain a little bit of eye contact to know that we want the floor to pass. However we do, we're capable of doing this. The clerk and I will maintain a consolidated speaking list of members wishing to speak. And today we have with us Ms. Katie Telford, Chief of Staff to the Prime Minister. And as a person who observes the Sikh faith, a member of the Sikh community, I do want to wish everyone celebrating a happy Vaisakhi. This is a really big deal in our community, so I just want to express that to everyone who is here in person and watching. So thank you. Ms. Telford, you will now have time for an opening statement, and then we will proceed to questions and comments from committee members. Ms. Telford, welcome to Prague.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thought I'd start by explaining my role and how I receive intelligence. My job is to advise the Prime Minister and manage the Prime Minister's office. A key part of my role is ensuring he receives advice and information from all parts of government so that he can make the best decisions possible. This includes briefings from the National Security and Intelligence Advisor, the NSIA, and other intelligence officials. I am usually with the Prime Minister for these briefings. Sometimes we receive these briefings in secure settings known as SCIFs. That stands for Sensitive Compartmented Information Facility. All of our phones and electronics get locked up by the elevator and don't enter the floor, let alone the room itself. Other times, the NSIA will request that I read a document that is brought to me by a CRO, a client relations officer. The CRO hands me the document, supervises me while I read it, and takes it back. Sensitive intelligence is treated with the utmost care. There is a rigorous vetting process to obtain top secret clearance, which I have, and there are equally important obligations one must uphold to keep that clearance. That is because publicly disclosing what our intelligence agencies know or how they come to know it can irreparably harm Canada's national interests and put people's lives in danger. It can also threaten Canada's ability to obtain intelligence in the future because Canada is a net importer of intelligence. In my years in this job, I have seen a huge range of intelligence from all parts of the world. Some of it has been wrong, proven wrong, some of it right, some we may never know, or only with time will we learn if it's true. Even intelligence that is proven wrong can be useful. It can shed light on the motivations or the agenda of the source or a narrative that is being pushed. Intelligence often comes as fragments of information that then needs to be analyzed, assessed, discussed, to understand what they really mean. And that work has to be done by situating those fragments in a wider context of information. As the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs told you at this very committee, intelligence rarely paints a full, concrete, or actionable picture. Depuis 2015, notre gouvernement